So yesterday we talked about how Ilhan Omar tweeted something where she said the United States basically has committed war crimes. Hold on one second and let me give you the exact quote. She says the US has committed crimes against humanity and unthinkable atrocities, or unspeakable atrocities. No, I think it's unthinkable atrocities. So she said that, and then she made a comparison. She said, hey, listen, just like Israel, just like the Taliban, just like Afghanistan, that's what happened. The US has committed atrocities, and the US has committed crimes against humanity. You would think that this is obvious, and that everybody would be like, all right, I might not like it, but she has a point. And as a very famous conservative commentator once said, facts don't care about your feelings. Well, the entire right wing melted down. We covered this on the show yesterday. But it turns out all of that whining and bitching and moaning that was done by the right has now paid off in the sense that other Democrats have thrown Ilhan Omar under the bus. So I want to go ahead and read you a statement from other Democrats, elected Democrats, congresspeople, and what they said about Ilhan's comment. So Andrew Desiderio, forgive me if I mispronounce that, he's a Politico reporter. He says, group of House Democrats is out with a statement tonight condemning Ilhan Omar's recent comments, saying they give cover to terrorist groups. They give cover to terrorist groups when you tell the truth about what the United States of America does and has done. Today, Representative Brad Schneider, remember these names, please. Brad Schneider, led by Representatives Jake Auchincloss, Ted Deutsch? We'll go with Ted Douche, how about that? Lois Frankel, Josh Gottheimer, Elaine Luria, Kathy Manning, Gerald Nadler, Dean Phillips, Kim Schreier, Brad Sherman, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz released the following statement. Equating the United States and Israel to Hamas and the Taliban is as offensive as it is misguided. Ignoring the differences between democracies governed by the rule of law and contemptible organizations that engage in terrorism at best discredits one intended argument and at worst reflects deep-seated prejudice. I don't think she's the prejudiced one here. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. I think the people releasing this statement are prejudiced. We'll come back to that point. The United States and Israel are imperfect and, like all democracies, at times deserving of critique. But false equivalencies give cover to terrorist groups. We urge Congresswoman Omar to clarify her words, placing the U.S. and Israel in the same category as Hamas and the Taliban. All right, so right off the bat, let's dispel some myths. The idea that Israel can be accurately described as just a democracy is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. It is an apartheid state. That's not an opinion, that's a matter of fact. Even the top human rights group in Israel describes Israel as an apartheid state. There's at least 50 laws on the books that designate second-class citizenship for Arab Israelis and for Palestinians. So don't give me this bullshit that it's fair to call it a democracy when not only is it an apartheid state, there's settler colonialism happening, but it's also theocratic. It is literally a Jewish state. If you're a Zionist, you believe in a Jewish state. You know what that means? It's an ethno state, and it's a religious state, and so Jews get preferential treatment there. Nothing I'm saying is controversial. This is all objective, but they want to have their cake and eat it too, and ignore all those parts of Israel, and when it's convenient, just say, just so everybody knows it's a democracy. Democracy, my ass cheeks, that would mean equal rights for everybody. And there aren't equal rights for everybody. Don't give me that bullshit. So that's the first point. The second point is, guys, who are we kidding? Why are we pretending like this is even a debatable claim? Her point was, listen, we've all committed unthinkable atrocities and we've all committed crimes against humanity. So in that sense, of course you could say that Israel is like the US, is like the Taliban, is like Hamas, so on and so forth. Do I need to run through the list? Guantanamo Bay, where we did torture. By the way, torture against innocent people. Not that it would matter if they were guilty, because torture is against the law, is against US law and international law for a fucking reason, But torture of innocent people, the illegal Iraq war that was based on lies, where we killed a minimum 200,000 innocent Iraqi civilians. We used depleted uranium tips in Fallujah, which is against international law, and has led to a giant spike in birth defects in the region. That's what we've done. That's what we're responsible for. The illegal drone war, which kills 90% civilians, and that was under Obama. Under Trump, it probably got worse. I haven't seen a new report as to how bad it is under Trump. We also nuked civilians in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We did Japanese internment. We had slavery. We had Jim Crow. We had Native American genocide. We routinely overthrow democratic governments and replace them with dictators, our puppet dictators, and we prop them up and allow them to do torture and ethnic cleansing and, sterilize the indigenous population. I mean, this stuff is all factual. It's all on the record. Now, I get it. Mommy and daddy told all of the nice little American kids that we're precious and we're special and that American exceptionalism is real, so rules and definitions don't apply to us. But I got news for you. Mommy and daddy are idiots, and it's time to grow up and apply definitions objectively. It was Noam Chomsky who said it. If the Nuremberg laws were upheld, every post-World War II president would have been hanged. That's a fact. You can meticulously go through the war crimes of every single US president. This is a bastion of political correctness in Washington, D.C. This is right-wing political correctness, and this is Washington, D.C. political correctness. You're not allowed to tell the truth about the United States of America and our foreign policy. You're not allowed to tell the truth. So, these people who threw Ilhan under the bus, shame on them. And by the way, don't get it twisted. It is for political reasons too. They're afraid of the right wing and they want to be like, we're not like the bad Democrats. We're not like the far left Democrats. You can work with us Republicans. And then by the way, the Republicans will turn around and spit in their eye anyway and tell them to go fuck off. So what are you doing? Listen, I made the point earlier about prejudice. Let me come back to that right now. Donald Trump made this point. Donald Trump made the same point when Bill O'Reilly brought up Vladimir Putin. Trump was like, listen, we're killers. We got plenty of killers in this country. We got plenty of killers. What, you think this country's so innocent? Now, at the time, everybody on the right was like, yeah, he's got a point. But when Ilhan says it, all of a sudden, oh, scandal. You're black, you're Muslim, and it sounds like you don't like America. Love it or leave it, get out of the country. And guess what? Now it's even Democrats doing it. And it stems from the same place. You know where the real prejudice is? It's not with Ilhan, who's stating a fact. The real prejudice is with the people who won't allow a black Muslim woman to tell the truth. That's where the real prejudice is. Somehow it's outrageous and outlandish when she says it, but Trump can say it and the right doesn't respond. Or even Noam Chomsky can say it and everybody's like, oh, okay, fair enough. I can say it and it's called a random Tuesday, but Ilhan Omar says it, oh, you must hate America and you must be prejudiced. No, the prejudice is in condemning a fucking factual statement. And don't give me this bullshit about, well, the difference is that the intentions matter. And so the intentions of the Taliban are to do harm and kill civilians, whereas the US has perfectly benign intentions. I'd be willing to hear that argument out if it didn't happen over and over and over and over in the case of the US that we kill the civilians. So I've made this argument before, but this is like saying there's a difference between manslaughter and murder. How come you're not being nuanced enough to make that point? Yes, but if you leave your house on Monday and kill somebody with your car and say it's manslaughter, okay, maybe. But then you left your house on Tuesday and killed somebody else with your car and said, it's okay, it's not murder, it's still manslaughter. Then you left your house on Wednesday and killed 3 people with your car. I didn't mean it, it's manslaughter, it's not murder. Then you left your house on every other day of the week for the next 8 years and killed 5 people with your car. At some point I'm gonna go, this doesn't seem like fucking manslaughter, seems like it's on purpose. Oh, but we meant well. Really, we meant well? Tell that to the fucking mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters of the over 200,000 dead Iraqi civilians. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. The whole point of the law and justice is that it's supposed to be applied fairly, objectively. Justice is blind. It doesn't matter who's committing the crime. A crime is a crime, and so there's gotta be punishment or there's gotta be justice brought about as a result of it. But if you point out facts, if you say that, no, you're not allowed to. Stop it. How dare you? I'm outraged and offended by your completely reasonable comment, your rational, logical point. Just so sick of it, man. I'm so sick of it. This is nothing but political correctness. The United States is a superpower. The United States is an empire. The United States routinely engages in war crimes and ignores international law as a matter of standard operating procedure. The point she's making is super clear. I can give you 1,000 examples of how she's right, but still, she's not allowed to say it and she gets condemned. I want everybody to stand up and defend Ilhan Omar here. Everybody. All other Democrats who have a fucking brain in their head, people who are in DC and out of DC, commentators, everybody needs to defend Ilhan Omar on this. Because we can't let this nonsense political correctness stand. The people who are arguing that she's wrong are just dumb. They're either liars, or they're ignorant, or they're stupid, or their comments are coming from a place of prejudice and they're triggered that a black Muslim is stating the facts about the United States of America. So obviously you could tell this really got under my skin. Because her comment, honestly, on top of being correct, is banal. It's banal. It's like, yeah, the United States commits war crimes and unthinkable atrocities, just like Israel, just like Hamas, just like the Taliban. That's not to say they're exactly the same in every way, but she didn't fucking say that. So let's stop pretending she did. Ilhan is right, defend Ilhan Omar.